always tough. When your main character comes from an alternate future, that probably won't happen. Luckily, Jeff Lemire doesn't want to focus on telling just plain linear stories. He wants to jump around and show you what happened in this alternate future that makes Old Man Logan who he is. And when he does this, he always tries to relate it to something that's currently happening to Logan. He's done this by showing flashbacks of characters and situations as Logan has gotten involved in things in this current timeline. But currently, someone is messing with Logan's mind. And when someone messes with the mind of a time traveler from an alternate universe, it makes for a very interesting story. Old Man Logan is a great book. If you haven't been reading this, you probably need to go check it out. And this, while it's a difficult story to follow if you haven't been reading it all along, is a great story you need to check out. Jeff Lemire's brand of crazy storytelling is another good fit for this book. Moon Knight is the story of a guy with severe mental problems who's also the pawn in a game between different gods of the universe. And Moon Knight is one of those characters who over the years has developed so many alter egos you're starting to wonder if maybe he didn't have a multiple personality disorder. And then it turns out he does. And then it turns out it may just be madness brought on by the gods who gave him his powers in the first place. What makes Moon Knight so much fun and so interesting is that you're never quite sure what's reality, what's just crazy stuff that's happening in his mind, what may actually be stuff that's really happening outside of reality that is an actual thing that is happening to him. I know, it's really hard to explain and really hard for you to understand, but that's part of what makes the book so much fun. Just like Jeff Lemire's other book, Old Man Logan, this one doesn't tell linear, straight-up stories, and that's why you gotta check it out. Nova has always been a pretty fun book. It centers around a kid who got the Nova powers nowadays, so it tends to skew itself a little younger. And that's perfectly fine. It's a great story, and it's a great book that you can follow. However, this particular issue, rated teen. A little bit of gore and violence in this one that might be a little over the top for some of the younger kids. And there's something a lot darker and more mysterious going on now. We've seen some glimpses of it before, but now we're starting to get a little better look that Richard Rider isn't exactly everything he claims to be. You thought before maybe he was crazy? Well, turns out it's a lot more than that. And this is a book that I highly recommend. If you have kids, don't be afraid to let them read it. It does skew a little younger, even though it's rated T for teen. I think most kids nowadays can handle the type of stuff that happens in a book like this. But it's fun, it's uplifting, it's got a lot of action, and it's a good time, and highly recommended. Something's got to give on Justice League, and it's probably going to be me before it's Brian Hitch. This is another issue that feels like it could be a backup in an annual or stuck in the middle of a quarterly special or something along those lines, but not as a full-priced issue of an ongoing series. Basically, because of the events of Justice League vs. Suicide Squad, the team has to know, can they all trust each other? Can they work together? They don't know Superman that well because he's from the alternate timeline, and so he actually spills the beans about some stuff that Batman from his world did, that Batman from this world has done, and so the team has to work through their issues, and they do it all underground, under rubble, waiting for this giant moon mining thing to come and finish its attack. And it's one of those things that's not a satisfying story, it's not particularly well done, and again, it feels like a backup and not the main event. And that's why I'm really disappointed in this issue. Let me save you some time up front. Read this book. All right, now that we got that out of the way, you know I love the multiverse stuff. You know I love parallel dimensions and all the different versions of characters from all these different histories and timelines and whatever. And yes, this is the continuation of that story. And not only is it a lot of fun, but it ties into some of the things we've seen happening in the New 52, the rebirth and all of that. We know there's some, oncoming danger that everybody's gearing up for. Maybe it's Dr. Manhattan. We don't know yet. But anyway, this is a lot of fun. It ties in with New Superman, the Chinese character. It ties in with Clark Kent being this version of Clark Kent being new to this timeline, this universe. It's a lot of fun. The return of Captain Carrot, the Justice League incarnate, it hits all the right notes. It's a lot of fun. It's big. It's a giant fight. There's a lot of energy. Good time. Check it out. arc, this issue actually does a pretty good job of setting up the Bat universe. It shows you a lot of the characters, all the sidekicks having conversations, showing their personalities, how they interact, their dynamic with each other, also their dynamic with Bruce, how he shows himself to the real world out there when he's not Batman. But not only that, as a setup issue, we know this is the first chapter of the new I Am Bane storyline, and Bane is returning from what we've seen in the I Am Suicide that came earlier. This does a really good job, since it's the first issue, of setting things up. Laying out the characters, letting you know what their personalities are, again, their dynamic with one another, and you get an idea of how things are going to work in the upcoming storyline. So, even though this particular issue, doesn't give you a whole lot as far as the big picture goes, for the little picture it gives you, it's actually really well done.